It was the cold evening of December 20th, 1968, when two young teenagers, 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen and 17-year-old David Faraday, set out for their first date. Hoping for some privacy, they drove towards Lake Herman Road in California. But they had no idea that someone sinister was watching them. Just as they parked near the lake, a strange car pulled up behind them. A man stepped out and approached their vehicle, ordering them to get out. When they refused, the man fired a warning shot into the rear tire of their car. Terrified, Betty and David tried to flee, but before they could escape, the man opened fire. David was shot in the head, and Betty was shot 5 times in the back, dying on the spot. The attacker vanished into the night. This brutal double murder marked the beginning of one of the most chilling manhunts in American history, the hunt for the Zodiac Killer. Today, we explore the case of a notorious serial killer whose identity remains a mystery to this day. The Zodiac Killer haunted the streets of San Francisco during the late 1960s and early 1970s, not only committing murders, but also taunting the media and police with letters, riddles, and ciphers. After the Lake Herman murders, things went quiet for about 6 months. But on July 4th, 1969, the silence was broken. That night, 18-year-old Darlene Ferrin and 16-year-old Michael Mageau were driving in Vallejo, California, planning to watch fireworks. They noticed a car following them, so they turned into the parking lot of Blue Rock Springs Park to shake it off. The other car followed and parked beside them. After a brief pause, it drove away, but minutes later returned and blocked their path. The driver, carrying a bright flashlight, approached their car. At first, the teenagers thought it might be a police officer, but without warning, the man opened fire. Darlene died on the spot, but Michael miraculously survived, severely wounded. He was able to give police a description, which helped them create a sketch of the suspect. Later that night, at 12:40 a.m., the Vallejo Police Department received a chilling phone call from a man confessing to the attack. This was the Zodiac Killer's first direct contact with law enforcement. A month later, on August 1st, 1969, 3 local newspapers received letters from someone claiming to be the killer. In these letters, he took credit for both attacks and included specific details only the killer could know, like the victim's clothing, the number of shots fired, and the weapons used. He also enclosed a coded message, a cipher, and demanded that it be published in the newspapers. If they didn't comply, he warned, more people would die. The cipher was a puzzle, and while experts were still trying to crack it, an ordinary couple from San Francisco managed to decode it. The message read, "It is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Man is the most dangerous animal of all." The letter also revealed a disturbing belief. The killer said he believed in the afterlife, and that his victims would become his slaves in the next world. Then came September 27, 1969. College students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing by Lake Berryessa, enjoying a picnic. They noticed a man approaching them. He wore a black hood with a white crosshair symbol on the front, the now infamous symbol of the Zodiac. The man held them at gunpoint, demanding money and car keys. Brian handed over 75 cents and the keys, but then, unexpectedly, the man returned the keys and used rope to tie them up. Then, in a horrifying twist, he pulled out a knife and stabbed them repeatedly, assuming they would die. Before leaving, he carved a message on their car door. It included the date, time, location, and even the type of weapon used. A fisherman nearby discovered the couple still alive and rushed them to the hospital. Sadly, Cecilia didn't survive, but Brian did, and he gave police a detailed statement. That same night, at 7:40 p.m., the killer once again called the police himself, confessing to the crime and giving precise details. Now investigators started noticing patterns in the Zodiac's attacks. He targeted young couples. Most attacks happened on weekends or holidays. He preferred nighttime or early evening when visibility was low. He took pride in his crimes, boasting and taunting the authorities. The murders occurred at popular date spots. Many of the attacks happened inside or near cars. Most scenes were close to water bodies. These patterns led some to believe that the killer may have been heartbroken or carried hatred toward women, especially since in 3 attacks, the male victims survived while the females were killed. But then, on October 11th, 1969, the Zodiac broke his own pattern. That evening, he hailed a cab in San Francisco. Paul Stein, a cab driver, picked him up around 9:30 p.m. The killer asked to be taken to Maple Street in the upscale Presidio Heights. Once they arrived, the Zodiac waited until the car stopped and then shot Paul in the head at point-blank range. He then climbed into the front seat, cut off a piece of Paul's shirt, and left. Unbeknownst to him, 2 children witnessed the whole incident from a nearby window. They immediately called the police, who rushed to the scene. On their way, they crossed paths with a man walking calmly, likely the Zodiac himself. But due to a mistaken description, they were told to look for a black male suspect. They let him go. The Zodiac Killer continued to haunt Northern California for years, sending more letters, codes, and threats. But despite eyewitnesses, letters, phone calls, and patterns, the true identity of the Zodiac remains a mystery to this day. A few days after fingerprints were finally recovered from the scene, the Zodiac Killer resurfaced. He sent another letter to the newspapers, this time detailing the murder of Paul Stein with terrifying accuracy. To prove it was really him, he included a piece of Stein's bloody shirt. But this time, he made a new, chilling threat. He said he would attack a school bus. Fear gripped the entire area. The police started tailing school buses daily, for weeks. But the attack never came. Using descriptions from children who had seen the suspect, police created a fresh sketch of the Zodiac. It was distributed among all taxi drivers in the region. Still, the killer stayed one step ahead. Just 10 days after killing the taxi driver on October 22, 1969, the Zodiac took a bold step. He called the Oakland Police Department and said he wanted to speak with a well-known attorney, Melvin Belli, on live television. Channel 7's talk show was hastily prepped and went on air earlier than usual. Zodiac called, but hung up. Then he called again, and again. In total, he called 35 times, though only 12 of those calls made it on air. He referred to himself as Sam during the calls. Attorney Belli asked him several questions, but Sam gave strange, inconsistent answers. Later, it was revealed that this caller wasn't the Zodiac at all. People familiar with the real Zodiac's voice confirmed. It didn't match. An investigation revealed the calls had been made by a mental patient from Napa State Hospital. A few weeks later, newspapers received 2 more letters from the Zodiac. This time, one of them contained a new coded cipher, even more complex than the first. Unlike the first cipher that was cracked in a day, this one remained unsolved for over 50 years. It wasn't until 2020 that 3 codebreakers, with the help of computer software, managed to decipher it. But the decoded message revealed nothing useful, only that the Zodiac denied being the caller on the talk show. However, another letter that came with the cipher gave the police a potential clue. The Zodiac claimed to have built a bomb, which was hidden in the basement of his house. This small detail hinted that he lived in a house, not an apartment. Basements weren't common in the Bay Area back then, meaning the killer probably didn't live in the Bay Area. Perhaps in that letter, Zodiac had finally made a mistake. About 5 months later, on March 22, 1970, a woman named Kathleen Johns was driving on Highway 132 when a man tried to kidnap her. She managed to escape. When shown a sketch of the Zodiac, she immediately recognized him as her attacker. Over the next 4 years, the Zodiac continued sending cryptic letters and ciphers. Some contained gruesome details of his crimes. Others bizarrely reviewed movies. In one letter, he even shared coordinates for a bomb. But when police investigated, they found nothing. His last confirmed letter arrived on January 30th, 1974. In it, he mockingly scored himself. Me, Jogger 37, SFPD, Zodiac, implying he had killed 37 people while the San Francisco Police Department had caught none. However, police disagreed with that count. They believed Zodiac was exaggerating, and only 5 confirmed murders matched his known pattern. Multiple law enforcement agencies, including the CIA, studied the case closely. Their profile suggested the Zodiac had military-grade knowledge. The shoe prints found at one crime scene were from wing-walker boots, typically issued through military stores. His expertise in ciphers also hinted at possible military cryptography training. The Zodiac had gained nationwide attention, and with that came dozens of false confessions. Many people falsely claimed to be him, making the real killer even harder to track. In the early stages, suspicion fell on a man named Arthur Lee Allen. He had a military background and owned a watch branded Zodiac with the same logo used by the killer. But his handwriting and fingerprints didn't match.